Same on both sides. Good morning. We'll call this meeting to order. Deborah, if you please initiate the roll call.
Certainly. Vice Mayor Carter,
Present.
Commissioner Daly, Commissioner Vignola, Commissioner Simmons,
Here.
Assistant City Manager Babinick,
Here.
City Attorney Hearn.
Here.
I'd like to observe a moment of silence. This is a very difficult time for our community this time of year. Please lift up in remembrance too many who are hurting. Thank you. Now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Ben Graber, who's visiting us.
Hearts, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not working? It is working. It's working. Okay. Good morning. So this morning we're going to have some recognitions, and first we'd like to recognize the Stop the Bleed initiative. We have a request that we recognize the fire department, Captain Justin Panirlio, and Police Sergeant Carla Kimotek for their dedication and efforts on the Stop the Bleed initiative.
Captain Parinello and Sergeant Kimotek, if you can come up, please. Myself and Chief Perry are honored to be standing next to these two individuals. Back in 2012, they started pushing a campaign that was called the Stop the Bleed campaign. And basically what it taught was how to stop bleeding that would cause a loss of life from traumatic injury. And I got to tell you, when they first came to us with these ideas, I know that I was a little hesitant to jump in with both feet, but the impact that these two individuals have made throughout our community, throughout the state, and throughout the country is just amazing. They have been true champions for making sure that not only all of our responders are prepared for these types of events, but making sure our community is prepared for these types of events. And this recognition doesn't even come close to thanking them enough for everything that they have done. I know they're going to say that they had a lot of help, and they did. All the men and women that are here in uniform, for example, went out and helped them train all the teachers within Coral Springs and Parkland on Stop the Bleed. I know they're going to say that they didn't, they don't deserve to be standing up here alone, but you guys do.
To that, I would like to add that what they have been doing is catching fire, and it will soon be the standard, I hope, across the nation, because what it's been shown, and nobody knows more than us here with the MSD tragedy, that it saves lives, and it 100% saves lives. So, they have spoke at many different venues across the United States talking about the campaign. It is catching fire, and I hope that it will soon be the standard of every municipality and every law enforcement agency. Would you care to say anything?
We had a great team.
Yep, thank you. Thank you.
That's our PIO, by the way.
She just needs more than one microphone in front of her, that's all.
Okay. Oh, over here? Yes.
Thanks, Chief. I appreciate that very much.
Can I read this to you?
Sure.
Fire Captain Justin Parinello. A bleeding emergency can occur anytime, anywhere, and thanks to your hard work and countless hours, the citizens of Coral Springs and Parkland are safer no matter where they are. your efforts to educate the public on the Stop the Bleed initiative and to train more than 1,200 teachers, hundreds of city employees, and many local businesses on how to use a bleeding control kit are commendable. We thank you for your unwavering dedication and continued efforts to stop the bleed, which has made our community proud and undoubtedly saved many lives in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Police Sergeant Carla Kimitak. A bleeding emergency can occur anytime, anywhere, and we thank you for your hard work and countless hours. The citizens of Coral Springs and Parkland are safer no matter where they are. Your efforts to educate the public on the Stop the Bleed initiative and to train more than 1,200 teachers, hundreds of city employees, and many local businesses on how to use the bleeding control kit are commendable. Thank you. We thank our commission and our city. Thank you for your unwavering dedication and continued efforts to stop the bleed, which have made our community proud and undoubtedly will save many lives in the future. Thank you. Dale, do you have the proclamation? Christy Bartlett. Okay. Is Christy Bartlett here? If you could come forward. Christy Bartlett is our new Economic Development Director, and we would like to recognize the Florida Economic Development Week and you, Subra. Thank you so much. Economic development is vital to Florida's competitiveness and prosperity, and it's an important initiative for the future of Coral Springs. The City of Coral Springs supports the efforts of our Economic Development Department and the Florida Economic Development Council. Your contributions to Florida business climate are vital, from job retention and growth to stabilized tax base and enhanced quality of life. Your work to help establish the next generation of new businesses and assist businesses of all types is commendable. Therefore, we, the City of Coral Springs, the City Commission, proclaim February 11th to 15th as Florida Economic Development Week. Thank you so much for your efforts. Thank you. And picture. Okay, and we have another one? Okay. Okay, next we have a presentation for the National Institute of Government Purchasing. I'd like to, Brian O'Connor and Angelo Salamone and the rest of the department to come up. Come here. Come on. It's all yours.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Brian O'Connor. I'm the president of the Southeast chapter of NIGP, and this is Cassandra Lamouchure from, she's our vice president. And we are also procurement officials for, I'm from the town of Davie and
City of Pompano Beach.
Pompano Beach. So good morning, council, commission, mayor, members of administration. Thank you for this opportunity. We are here today as the Southeast Florida chapter of NIGP, which is comprised of about 52 agencies from Palm Beach County down to Miami-Dade County. And what do? We actually educate and further our procurement professionals and make sure that they're trained and we're spending your tax dollars in the best manner. So what does that mean? That means basically we go through tedious training, we do different events, And this year, the board of directors, which Cassie and myself are head of, decided that we would actually want to present an agency through those 52 agencies that has stood out and contributed to our chapter in the best manner. And we selected Coral Springs to do that. And why? Coral Springs, your team has been a pillar of our organization for many years. Angelo Salamone has been procurement manager for, what, 100 years now? Somewhere around there? At least. Has been vice president, he's been the past president, he's been our bylaws. He's actually been represented in all of our chapter meetings. And that means that he contributes to those meetings when he does. He comes and actually gives his knowledge back to the members, which is amazing. That's one of those things that we need to further our procurement professionals. Angela's done that. Gail Dixon has been outstanding in our reverse trade show. We do a reverse trade show, and you've been the host city for 6, 7 years now, actually out at the sports complex. At the gym, I'm sorry. And I've been there, I should know that. We actually train and educate vendors at this event, and we get about 350 vendors that come in, and we teach them how to actually do business with government so they can be better at what they do. So again, Coral Springs has stood by the chapter to make sure that we succeed, and that is much appreciated. So thank you for all you've done, and you support us just as well. So we appreciate everything. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Cassie if you have anything further to say.
I do. Part of the criteria also for giving this award to them was the fact that all of the members of the City of Coral Springs Purchasing Division are members of the chapter and national NIGP. They do not miss attendance at any of our quarterly business meetings. And again, the reverse trade show that Gail acts as the chair for is not an easy thing to plan. It takes a coordinated effort, and the City of Coral Springs has been a gracious host to this event. This event is the largest money raiser that we have that allows us to offer continuing education and training to all of our members at an extremely discounted cost or free of charge. We appreciate the City of Coral Springs supporting their purchasing staff and being members of our chapter of NIGP, and we're very proud to bestow this award, first year ever, the Board of Directors, Outstanding Contributions to the Chapter and Profession of Procurement. So congratulations to the City of Coral Springs.
Good? Okay, sure. Thanks. Okay, can you get us all in?
Got to teach, Angela.
Before you leave and shake hands with the commissioners, I'd like Angelo to say a few words.
Just to build on what Brian already said, number one, these folks work hard every day to make sure that your tax dollars are spent efficiently and effectively. On top of that, they are spent in an open and transparent manner. So please, again, let me say thank you for recognizing their efforts over the years in spending your tax dollars. Thank you.
And thank you for all the service that you've been as a team leader for the city, and we really appreciate you. And we appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. Please, if you could shake hands. Please, go ahead. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Thanks, Chelsea.
Vice Mayor, if I may, I'd like to ask Deputy City Manager Melissa Heller to come over to say a couple words about Angelo. He is He is retiring after many years of service with this city, and I would just like to personally thank him. I've had the chance to work with Angelo on many, many, many projects, being responsible for logistics for a long time for the fire department. And he is one of the most outstanding professionals I've ever had the opportunity to work with. Melissa?
On February 4th, 1991, Angelo was hired as the purchasing agent 2. 8 months later, he was promoted to purchasing administrator. During his 28 years with the city, Angelo's helped us achieve many important citywide initiatives. He played a key role in large projects like the Coral Springs Charter School, which, if you don't know, is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. Renovations to the public safety building after a very memorable stay during Hurricane Wilma, the design and construction of the building we're standing in today, and most recently in procuring the design services for the long overdue renovations at our West Side complex. One of Angelo's greatest legacies is the city's involvement in the local chapter of the NIGP, which you've just heard about, and the Southeast Florida Government Purchasing Cooperative. While the City of Coral Springs has acted as the lead agency on many contracts over the years, the fuel contract was one of the most important. Under Angelo's close eye and leadership, more than 30 governmental agencies across Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties had access to the most cost-effective fuel for buses, emergency vehicles, and other general government needs. He helped fill gasoline and diesel tanks at Broward and Palm Beach school boards, Broward County, and the City of Miami, just to name a few. And while many things have changed over those 28 years, Angelo's dedication to public service has always been steadfast. He worked tirelessly to preserve the integrity of our city procurement process and protect it from outside influences. Because of his efforts, we have been able to procure things like trash hauling, health insurance, and even the construction of this building without legal challenges. If you've read the newspaper lately, you know that such outcomes for procurements like these are pretty remarkable. Angelo, the city has been so fortunate to have you for the last 28 years. You have most definitely left it better than you found it. Thank you for your service. We have a small token of our appreciation that you get to take with you. And on it, it says, presented to Angelo Solomone in appreciation, thank you, for 28 years of dedicated service. Thank you. Would you want to get a picture with your whole team?
If it doesn't take up too much time, sure.
No. Come on down, purchasing folks. Yes.
How many things do you want me to carry? This too?
Yes.
What for?
You want to say something? Okay. Sure. I will.
Used to be a wedding photographer.
And Commissioner Daley, if you could join me. This is for our presentation to Black History Month. I have enjoyed the opportunity to have done some research on Black History Month. I did not know that it started out as Black History Week in 1929 before it became Black History Month in 1976. So there's been a lot of good progress made in that time period.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. If we could have the members of the MLK Committee come on up. So real quick, while they're walking up, I just wanted to say a public thank you again this year. This is an all-volunteer group that puts together all of our MLK remembrance festivities every year. They get about a week off, which is right now, and they start planning for next year, next week, so get ready. But I just wanted to say thank you. It's been an honor since my first election in 2012. I've had the pleasure of being the liaison to the MLK Junior Committee. It's been an honor to work with each one of you. Your heart is in it for the right reason, and you go above and beyond every single year. We appreciate all you do for this city. So with that, we have a special recognition recognizing Black History Month. In recognition of the extraordinary contributions that African Americans have made to our community and the nation, the city proclaims February as Black History Month. The city strongly believes in strength and diversity, and this is a time for all Americans to remember the teachings of those who helped build our nation, took a stance against prejudice, and enhanced civil rights for all. Therefore, we, the City Commission of Coral Springs, Florida, proclaim February 2019 as Black History Month, signed February 6, 2019 by the Vice Mayor and the City Commission. Absolutely.
I'd like to say one thing, please.
This is my boss, by the way, for the last 6 years.
Yeah,
Even when she wasn't the committee chair, she's my boss.
yeah.
Hello, and thank you for the Coral Springs City for supporting us. I want to say one thing about the education of the people that we stand on the backs of. On Channel 25, City Coral Springs Channel 25, you can watch that, have your children watch it as well, because you'll find the people that have made this possible for us to move as forward as we have, because you'll find famous Black Americans, and not those that might not be even famous, but those who have made strides for Black history. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good. We're good? Thanks. You want to shake hands with the commission?
Thank you.
Great job as always.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. Okay, moving on for our next agenda item is public comment. Deborah, do we have any assigned speakers?
Mayor, we do have 2 signed speakers. The first is Jason Perlow, second Keith Roberts.
Mr. Perlow? Yes, thank you. Please state your name and your address for the record.
Jason Perlow, 8466 Northwest 43rd Court, Coral Springs. Thank you. Members of the Coral Springs Commission, 2 weeks ago, I attended your planning session, and I was appalled by the presentation of medical marijuana given to you by the Chief of Police, Clyde Perry, who is a city employee. He listed many debunked fears about dispensaries, including that fatal car accidents will increase, a fallacy that has been disproven by the American Journal of Medicine in a 5-year study of auto accidents in California and Colorado, which has shown there's 0 correlation between the two. He used fear tactics to influence you not to vote on removing the ban on medical marijuana dispensaries in our city. Commissioners, let us be frank. None of these things he spoke about will happen if we allow medical marijuana dispensaries in our city. We know precisely what the outcome will be. People who have serious debilitating conditions will be able to get the medications they so desperately need. We know this based on the experience of other South Florida towns that have allowed dispensaries. As a journalist covering the medical marijuana industry, I have visited a number of dispensaries. They are all clean, secure, and professionally run. And the only people entering medical marijuana dispensaries are patients who need their medicine, people who require it in order to have productive and fulfilling lives, to be able to return to work, or to spend what time they have left without being in debilitating pain. February is Black History Month. Marijuana was made Schedule I during the Nixon administration, explicitly to oppress people of color, as a follow-on to racist laws first enacted in the 30s and 50s as a result of reefer madness fear-mongering. And the people who have been prosecuted for crimes related to this relatively harmless plant are overwhelmingly people of color. But times are changing. In 2016, people of the state of Florida voted overwhelmingly to implement Amendment 2 into our state constitution. Medical marijuana is legal, and even our conservative governor wants the implementation to be even more liberalized, with more licenses for dispensary to be opened up statewide. And yet the Coral Springs and its police chief wants us to remain in the Nixon-era mindset of the 70s, subscribing to fear politics while other towns become more progressive and pass us by. Commissioner Vignola and Chief Perry think that Coral Springs patients can simply arrange for delivery or go to Deerfield Beach. What they don't understand is most medical marijuana dispensary companies only deliver to this area maybe once a week, and sometimes it can take significantly longer to get delivery from a central distribution center, 30 seconds. If you had a loved one, or you yourself were sick, and needed to go to CVS or Walgreens to pick up your medication, but the town didn't allow these stores to operate and said, hey, you only have to wait a week for delivery or drive to the next town to pick up your meds. Would you be willing to accept that? I think not. This is no different. Commissioners, please vote to allow dispensaries in Coral Springs. The people of Florida have willed it, and you must implement what they asked for. Compassion, not fear, should be guiding your decisions in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perlow. Next speaker.
Keith Roberts.
Welcome, Mr. Roberts. If you could state your name and your address. Thank you.
Good. My name is Keith Roberts.
You can pull it up.
A little tall there. Keith Roberts, 8950 Northwest 45th Court, Coral Springs, Florida, 33065. I am here today to speak in regards to what's called the covered bridge in the city of Coral Springs. And wanted to get some information in regards to how the murals, which is the side of each bridge, the paintings, can be replaced to a much more up-to-date in the direction that the city is moving to. Right now, I'm not even sure if anyone's aware of this, but there's tobacco products that are on each side of the bridge, and they are on there at the request of Coral Ridge Communities Properties. And I have a problem with tobacco products. Our youth has a problem with it. Non-smokers, non-tobacco users. I feel as though the murals can or should be replaced, perhaps with something for our MSD students, even our former mayor, Skip Campbell, anything but tobacco. And just to give you a little history, the bridge was designed and constructed in '64, okay? And it's supposed to be remained in red, which it is colored in red. I've contacted the Florida Historical Society. It's just it's not even a national monument or a national emblem. It's just for the city of Coral Springs, which means that the information comes to the city of Coral Springs to the Florida State Historical Society. It's nothing in stone where I was told yesterday that the city is receiving any monies for it or grant monies or anything of that nature from what I was told to upkeep the bridge. So I'm just asking, is it possible that I can receive any type of information to have the murals replaced or what can be done to remove these murals? Also, to add to that, why do we have a company that's located in South Carolina having our murals, our painting on murals, down here in the city of Coral Springs in Florida? I thank you for your time. I ask you, each and one of you, if you have time, do your homework, because from what I'm being told by your executive secretary or assistant to the commissioners, that there's nothing that can be done. Whether if you agree with me or not, keep in mind, this part of the bridge and the murals was to appease women. Think about that. Women in snuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. We will get back to you. Any other speakers? Anybody else wish to speak during public comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed. On to our public hearings. The attorney.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. This is going to be a request to, actually, we'll open up a public hearing to see if anyone's here since this has been advertised, and then continue to the date certain of March 6, 2019, item 5. Item 5 is a resolution 2019-008, Coral Springs Economic Revitalization Zone 2. It's a request to open a public meeting, continue to a date certain of March 6, 2019, to approve first reading of resolution 2019-008, designating two contiguous parcels totaling approximately 16.13 acres. This is the old city landfill that's located generally at Northwest 36th Street and 39th Street, Coral Springs, Broward County. 33065 is the Coral Springs Economic Revitalization Zone 2. And said second public hearing to a date certain of March 20th. So this time, Vice Mayor, I'd ask anyone here, the public hearing is open. Does anyone want to come and speak on this? And then seeing none, we'll close that public hearing. I'm looking for a motion then to continue this to the date certain of March 6, 2019.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. On to the consent agenda. Does anyone have anything they'd like to pull?
Vice Mayor, if I can, I know item 16, staff has asked that to be pulled. It's not ready to go.
Okay. Anybody else?
Item 16.
Second.
I'd like to pull item 10 as well. For the remaining, all in favor?
Motion by?
Motion to pull item number 10.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, sorry.
You're approving the consent outside of 10. 16 has
Right.
been removed.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
moving the balance.
Thank you. Okay, so item number 10, I just wanted to make a comment regarding the Sunshine Water Control District project.
Vice Mayor, we need a vote on that. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry, did we not vote?
No.
I apologize.
Second. All those in favor?
All in favor? Aye. I thought we did that.
Thank you. No, we didn't
Sorry.
vote.
Okay, so back to number 10, the Sunshine Water Control District. All of us up here take a beating on social media when people are not happy with things that are going on in their city or their homes or their yards, anything relative to the city that affects them. So I just wanted to compliment the Sunshine Water Control District and Mr. Jim McGuire specifically, because most of these attacks come on Facebook. And fortunately, we're friends, so I've been able to refer these people to him, and he has been incredibly responsive and Johnny on the spot to solve concerns and issues, and so I just wanted to say thank you. Okay.
And with that, you'll entertain a motion?
I would like to obtain a motion to move number 10.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Passes
Vice Mayor.
unanimously.
Thank you. And for the record, 16 has been removed, so
Right.
we're on policy formation.
Okay. On to policy formation,
For 17.
number 17.
And I believe the Assistant City Manager is going to address this.
Yeah, this item number 17 is for the design of the West Side campus. It's a contract with CPZ Architects, who Chris Zimmerman is here if we have any questions, as well as Rich Mashad, Public Works, can answer questions if we need any. But this is to approve the design contract with CPZ Architect to move forward with the design of the 4150 building, as well as other components of the West Side campus. And we have already done the schematic designs. This is for the construction design.
Move to approve? No, do we have to vote?
I'll move to approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Number 18, award construction manager at risk for construction of the Public Safety and Public Works Campus, Phase 1, pre-construction services. Deputy City Manager Babinek.
So this is a companion to 17. We're doing a construction management at risk process where we have a construction company that is involved in the design process from the beginning. That way there we can try to admit as many errors or discrepancies in design from day one. And at the end of this process, we should be able to have a project that will go through with as little or no change orders as possible. And that's what this is for, Pirtle Construction. They'll be working hand in hand with CPC Architects to design the building and the campus.
Do you have a motion?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Number 19, appointment to the Customer Involved Government Committee. Commissioner Daley?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Number 20, appointment Unsafe Structures Board. Ooh, I guess it's just all of us.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. And on to discussion. Item 21, the special election for City Commission seat number 2.
Right, Vice
The
Mayor,
attorney.
I think everybody knows Commissioner Dan Daly we received his letter consistent with the requirements. He has resigned to run for District 97. Wish him great luck with that. As a result, we have an opening under our charter. We cannot hold an election any closer than 90 days from the date of that receipt, which is May 2nd. There is a potential for a general election for that seat 97 on June 18th. Our city clerk has contacted the supervisor of elections. We can do it on that date. That's the date that I think that we're recommending based on the fact that it's already has at least a scheduled election. Kids are out of school, and it gives us more than the 90 days to, consistent with our charter, to have that election.
Commissioner Daley, I wanted to ask you if you could enlighten the comments I made this morning. Okay, thank you.
Let me just step in here for a second. So as you all are aware, come about December, it started to get out that our current state representative, Jared Moskowitz, was likely to be appointed the Director of Emergency Management by the governor. It wasn't ironclad at that point, so while I certainly would have hoped, and actually I made comments on the record back at that time when I stated my intention to run for state representative, to try and line those elections up and actually try and keep both the mayor's race and seat 2 on the March election. That wasn't possible because at that time, State Representative Moskowitz hadn't resigned, so there was no seat to resign for. And in a situation like that where you've got a lot of moving parts up in Tallahassee, there was no ironclad way of knowing that it was actually going to happen. So I was instructed and kind of advised not to resign until it was actually formally made public by the governor's office and the position had been accepted, and that's what I did. So my hope here is to still pair this election with another election. The qualifying deadline for my seat, the seat I'm running for, is next week. It's about 9 days, 8 days away. So until that point, we won't know whether there's an April election or a June election or both. Fact of the matter is those dates have been set by the governor's office, and he has the ability to do that, and he doesn't have a 90-day requirement. My understanding is the 90-day requirement that we have to adhere to is set in our city charter. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So it's not as simple as an ordinance that we could advertise and change in this instance. It's in the city charter, and it would require moving a mountain to change. So with that understanding, it looks like if there is an April election, there is no way to put it on the April ballot.
We would be in violation of the charter, that's right.
Okay.
And there's a possibility that election doesn't happen as well. And then in which case, we'd have to get with the supervisor elections to even get the approval to do it on that date.
Sure. That being the case, look, from the very beginning, I have tried to put my seat on the seat 2 on the same ballot as either the mayor's race or one of these other gubernatorially selected dates in order to basically help turnout, help increase turnout, and to save cost to the taxpayer. That has not been possible yet, and we won't know what's going to happen until 9 days from now in terms of those two gubernatorial set elections. So with that, I mean, short of doing a completely separate date, I think June 18th is probably the best date, given our time constraints, our charter problem, and the requirements of the code.
So City Attorney Hearn, do we vote on the June 18th, or do we wait till the next meeting to decide that after the 9 days has passed?
No, we can absolutely set that, move to set that date. And then what would happen is our city clerk will get with the supervisor elections to find out when qualifying would be.
Commissioner McGinola?
I'd like to discuss the qualifying date. I mean,
I move to approve June 18th as the special election date for City Commission seat 2.
Second.
All in favor?
we have a discussion? I was trying to discuss.
Right,
So my thing is, I would like to see us set that qualifying date for the week of March 4th to the 8th in that process.
I've just, what we'll do is, if this is what the commission would like to do, whatever dates you would like to do it, and ours is a week, we can request that from the supervisor election.
For the qualifying dates.
Correct. They usually work with us very well on that, so
But can we-
they just, what they need is, they'll tell us how much time they need to have the names to make sure they have the ballots. That's really what it comes down to.
So can we amend the motion to where with the motion, we also ask to send a letter over asking for it to be March 4th to the 8th?
May I inquire as to why you would want that?
I'm concerned of people going ahead that are running for mayor, going ahead right away and
Jumping,
flipping and jumping
yeah.
and doing, and running for both seats. I don't think that's appropriate. I think the residents of Coral Springs should have the opportunity to see who's running for those seats and to be committed to those seats. I don't think it'd be fair for the people that are running for commissioner to go ahead and have more people jump in there if they just lost their election. I think people should commit to a seat they're gonna run for and run for that seat and that seat alone.
Appreciate that,
I think it's a fair point.
right?
I'll accept the friendly amendment.
Okay, second.
Yeah, second. I'm good.
Have a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously.
And just to clarify, Deborah will reach out to the supervisor election and request that formally. Okay, thank you.
And assuming they'll agree.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Communications, Commissioner Vignola.
Okay, well, we heard earlier this morning during our charter school board meeting, the open house for prospective students and their families is February 12th from 5 to 7 at the charter school. If you want to get your kid into that school, please don't call us. We have no pull in that way. I know we get lots and lots of those calls. The way to get in is February 15th to March 15th. There is a process and an application, as happens every year. There's more people than spots. They go ahead and they hold a lottery in April. I want to thank Christy Bartlett. She was up here earlier, but yesterday I was on the phone doing some rounds in the corporate park, and there was a business that's looking at potentially moving. I got her on the phone, and she's set up a meeting for tomorrow with the three of us. So thank you for that. I know she was in here. She might have gone back to work, I guess. So there's that. I want to send you guys some pictures of signs that I saw literally this morning on the way in to City Hall. And I gave them to the city clerk already. They got them printed out pretty quickly. There's a sign for a snipe sign that's out there that is now legal in Coral Springs, because for code to go ahead and see if they have any other signs out around the city, or to go in and ask the property owner if they have it. And this is just today, and you go around the city and you see them everywhere, and I don't think this is, I understand for certain people it was a specific business thing, but there are many different signs that are being put out there, whether it's, tow for $49 or some other things that are now being allowed throughout the city, and in my opinion, makes the city look like trash. So I just wanted you guys to see that, and understand that now for code to go ahead and do that without giving them any more resources, if they see that, they have to, one, go into that business and see if they have permission from that business owner or property owner, and then also now they have to go ahead and see if there's any one of those other signs out on the main rights-of-way around the city. That's pretty hard to do considering the size of our city without giving them any extra staff. And this is what's happening, and I'm telling you guys, there are people in this room right here that have complained to me about these signs since we went ahead and approved it. Another thing I want to talk to you guys about is these school meetings at Stoneman Douglas taking place this week. Was anybody here invited? So I know we were told about the one that was canceled a couple weeks ago. I have been told this morning that elected officials were allowed into those closed meetings. And closed because the superintendent and the school board staff have decided to go ahead and make those meetings just for the individual grades, not for, to talk about school safety and different things happening, not for people who are in 8th grade at Coral Springs Middle School who are zoned and going to be going to Stoneman Douglas next year, not for any families that buy property in that zone and buy property in that zone because of Stoneman Douglas High School, but only for those families. I was recently told that there was a sign-in sheet for elected officials. And I'd like us to draft a letter that the school district and the superintendent open up communication a little bit better with us to make us aware of these types of policies and things. If we're, and if they're closing the meetings, which is a joke in my opinion, but that's pretty typical of the school board of Broward County at this point. If they're gonna close those meetings and allow elected officials, they should let us know so we can go ahead and report back to our residents what's going on in those meetings. I think that's pretty important. So if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to ask staff to go ahead and draft a letter and put our signatures on it, stating that they should be working with us, and especially in those types of situations.
I'd support that.
Is that all right with everyone? And with that, I'm talking about Stoneman Douglas, obviously, this is going to be a rough month, a rough couple weeks. One of the things that we're doing here in our community across the street, I know I've been getting phone calls, people asking what's being built across the street. Chief Babnick, if we can have Susie Crispin come up and talk about the project going on.
Sure.
Thank you.
Good morning. Yes, we do have the first exhibit, and it's going to be the artist is David Best. He's working over there furiously with his 25 crew members and a lot of volunteers, as we've requested and gotten the word out for. This is directly because of the Bloomberg grant that we received based on our application, which was set up gun violence after, healing after gun violence, and it's the power of art was the name of our application. So this is hopefully going to help people heal and reflect, and it's a place to go. It's going to be ready by February 14th, and there'll be several art therapists there during the day of that day because school is going to be out for some at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. We have the program also going on at the Art Museum all day long with a lot of great not festivities, but things to do and keep themselves busy with something that they can reflect on and be in a safe place, I guess to say. So this is a 35-foot temple that's being built across the way, and it's really quite delicate and quite strong at the same time. So the artist has been here since early February, and it's been a remarkable experience, an extraordinary experience for the city, actually, to be able to have an internationally renowned artist like this helping us out with something that he finds throughout his entire career is one of the things that he was made to do because he has these temples he's done across the world. So it's going to be up until mid-May, and then we'll be going into what Dave will pick for that later on and how it gets taken down, but we're hoping that we actually get to burn it if the conditions are right. And Frank Bebenek will tell us that as fire chief, what day and when that will be. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
They're still looking for volunteers to help out across the street?
They are, but they have several groups that are going, and their crew is really quite strong. So we've had a lot of different groups helping out. If anybody wants to, they certainly are welcome. He welcomes you and lets you just do anything that you have on any skill set that you have. They have things to still do over there. But they will be starting to put up the high stuff and the big stuff here pretty soon. I think the cranes are coming in either Thursday or Friday, so.
Very good.
Thank you, Susie.
And just, I ask everyone to keep those that are affected and those who lost loved ones and tragedy last year in our community in their prayers. And if you'd like to speak to me about any issue, please call me on my cell phone at 954-632-7544. Thank you.
Mr. Simmons.
All right, thank you, Vice Mayor Carter. First, it is Black History Month, and I would like to challenge everyone to learn about a little-known Black pioneer. Every year, we often teach about the major figureheads when it comes to Black history, but Black Americans and Black people around the world are often making history every day. So I would challenge you all to just learn something new about someone who's done something exciting and may have affected your life in a way that you may not have known. Second, I'm asking that on the March 6th agenda, an action item is given an action item is presented giving staff new direction, allowing medical marijuana dispensaries to operate within Coral Springs. We have held multiple workshops regarding this issue, sat through presentations, and heard from the public, some against, but a majority in favor. And that last part is what drives me. In 2016, 56,301 Coral Springs residents voted on the Amendment 2 referendum. 43,026 residents voted in favor of Amendment 2. That means just about 76% of Coral Springs residents voted in favor of the Florida Medical Marijuana Legalization Initiative. And since our most recent workshop, I've spoken to countless residents who in the past have prescribed opiates and countless other pills and drugs for pain relief. Many of these people have now began, by approval of a doctor, medical marijuana treatment. These people are our mothers, our fathers, our sons, and our daughters. They are veterans, teachers, and generally hardworking Americans who deserve the right to seek legal means of their own treatment. Telling people how and where to get their medicine is unfair and a violation of their pursuit of happiness. Who are we to tell people how to live their lives when operating within the confines of Florida law? Who are we to limit how people receive their medical treatment? I have recently visited a dispensary, and it was a very modern facility with all types of security. There were cameras everywhere. There were key card access to every door. Everything was locked. You could not get anywhere in there without an escort. There was security there outside and inside. The staff was professional and accommodating, and they took their job extremely serious. And as long as there are laws and rules, people will break them and bend them. I do not disagree with that point. But if we paint all people with a broad stroke with every major decision, how will we ever make progress and move forward? So again, I ask that on March 6th agenda, an action item is present, giving staff new direction and allowing medical marijuana dispensaries.
Can I jump in there?
Sure, Commissioner Daley.
Thanks, Vice Mayor. So I promise, Commissioner Simmons didn't see my notes, but I got to tell you, I was out of town. I was on a business trip to Tampa when you all had the workshop a couple weeks back, and I got to tell you, what I heard was really kind of troubling. And the way that it went down was really troubling for a number of reasons, not just the information that was provided, but I've not seen, and this is no disrespect to staff, it's just I've not seen foot dragging on an issue at this city more than I have on this item. And to me, this item is very clear. It has been since 2016 when an overwhelming majority of the residents of Florida, both R's and D's and I's and everybody else, voted to support it by over 72%. To me, at that point, it became a no-brainer. Before that, it was kind of a no-brainer, but the vindication is there nonetheless. So deeply troubled by what went down at that last workshop, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there, because I don't think it would have gone down that way. Frankly, not to think that I'm the end-all be-all, but certainly I think my voice would have gone a different direction than the way it was left. At our most recent retreat just a couple months ago, we determined that this was an action item, and this was a priority for this commission, and it was something that would be decided on in the next 6 months. We're well within that 6 months, and we had an opportunity to go a certain direction, and we didn't. And so we still defy the will of 72% of voters in the state of Florida, and it's baffling to me. It is baffling to me that those that have legitimate needs and need access to medical marijuana can't get it, and can't get it here in the city of Coral Springs, their hometown. They have to go above and beyond to get access to something they are legally allowed to get. You heard it earlier, the conservative governor is open to making it easier and more accessible for those in need. Folks, this is not a partisan issue. This is a compassion issue. So my hope is that we can be the forward-thinking, compassionate city that I know we are, and I'm going to go ahead and make a motion. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to direct the city attorney's office to draft an ordinance permitting medical marijuana within the city of Coral Springs, and I'm going to go ahead and make that motion now.
I have a comment.
I have an active
It's a
motion.
second.
I have a motion, so if I have a second.
If it gets a second.
Second.
Okay, now discussion, correct? Discussion? Okay, I have already publicly stated that I'm not opposed to having medical marijuana dispensaries in the city. As I stated in the workshop, I am not comfortable making a decision that another person is going to be obligated to, that we make, the four of us. So March is fine, but I'd like it to be the 20th and not the 6th. Commissioner Mignola.
A couple things here. All right, March 6th, since we moved meetings probably 7 years ago, we don't do any type of big discussion items in the morning meetings to allow people to come in the, in the evenings, so that way people have to miss work and stuff. Since we had this discussion, I have received numerous phone calls. I've been stopped in stores, everyone coming over and, well, why won't you allow medical marijuana in the city of Coral Springs? When we go through the different reasons why, I mean, the biggest one that people say is, well, what about all the tax revenue we get in the city? Okay, there's a lot of things that our residents don't understand about the way the state passed this, okay? What we decided at our retreat was to go ahead and allow staff to go ahead and make presentations to educate our residents, then to come back and make a decision at that point once our residents know everything that's going on. I know a lot of people that voted for us that did not know the way this was going to be rolled out, okay? And yes, it is legal in the state of Florida, you're right, but the federal government says it's not. Just both sides of things here, guys. You know, if we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this and talk about the retreats and the way things went, whatever, I mean, I know, yes, just a few months ago we talked about doing this in the next 6 months. However, in December of 2017, we had a 5-0 vote to go ahead and a retreat, or not, we had this consensus to go ahead to move forward with a ban on this. All 5 members that were on this commission. I think it's only fair with the upcoming elections.
No, it wasn't all 5.
It was at the retreat. I have the notes. So, when we came back to it in January and put in the ban, then it was a 3-2 vote. But at the retreat, it was 5-0. If we were to go ahead and allow our residents to go ahead and see what this is all about and to take the time to do that, and I know the comment was made that it would take upward of a week for delivery. The phone calls that I made a couple weeks ago to these dispensaries, everybody said they'd deliver same day. As long as you call by like noon or whatever, they get it to you the same day. So we're not preventing people in the community from having access to their medicine. That's not true. But I think for our community, why not go ahead and something like this to go ahead and allow our residents to be educated and decide at that point. When you look at what was passed and what people voted, it didn't lay out all the different intricacies of the law. So I think it's important. You know what, if we go ahead and we do this and all our residents say, hey, you know what, we're in favor of this. But to be honest with you guys, the people that I've spoken to that were in favor of this, once they start hearing some of the other sides of this, like the fact that there's no tax revenue coming in, okay, that changes things. And I think, you know, look, we said we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that. We're going to hold workshops and things and educate the public. And I know I talked to staff about showing the other side of the story a little bit more. And I think they will, and I think that's going to be done properly, and it'll allow back and forth and you know, community town halls on this issue. I think is a smart way to go about it, so our residents are completely educated about this issue and say, hey, you know what, if you guys want to do it, great. If you don't want to do it, don't. But I think to go ahead, and we're missing a seat here. You're leaving in a couple months, potentially in April. And so I get, you know, you want to get this done now, whatever, but the rest of us that are going to be stuck here, I think it's important that if we're having an election and people are going to be qualifying before that even takes place, we should wait and go with the direction that we gave staff to do. So that's where I stand on it.
The only comment I want to make when you said educating the residents, which I agreed and I supported, and there are, before 320, there was a time that we could provide that education. However, when we talk about what the residents want, 72% already said what they want. Commissioner Daley.
Thank you. Let me just jump in because I don't have the notes from whatever retreat or workshop that was in 2017. But I'm assuming that at the time, the enacting and enabling language wasn't passed by the legislature yet, and the consensus was to put a temporary moratorium until the time that enabling legislation was enacted. Because since the time that enabling legislation was enacted by the state legislature, I've been supportive of allowing medical marijuana in the city of Coral Springs. So let me just jump in on a couple of the points that were raised. I understand that the chair is empty. I understand that there is no one in the mayor's seat and that there will be come March 12th. But with the logic that I've just heard, let's not do anything. Let's not vote on anything. Let's go back to the agenda we just had and let's not pass anything because they're going to be held to the same things that are on the agenda today, right? So using that same logic, for me, doesn't sway me. Ultimately, regardless of who that individual is and how they feel about the item, if there are 3 votes to go in one direction, that's a majority of this commission. If that changes down the road, so be it. That's any number of issues, right? Talk about the city hall, talk about the moving the charter school, anything like that. Let's just stall it all until the mayor's elected, until this seat is decided. That logic doesn't make sense to me. The folks that need access to medical marijuana have waited, as far as I'm concerned, long enough. And so what I would say is, yes, the first meeting in March is generally a morning meeting. It's more of our business meeting. I don't think there's any reason why we can't hold first reading on an ordinance at that March 6th meeting. The individual who's going to be in the mayor's chair will still have the opportunity to weigh in upon second reading. If we wanted to, you could postpone it at that point. But the fact of the matter is, folks have waited long enough. Let's give direction to the city attorney's office to draft the ordinance. Not saying you have to approve it, not saying we can't make changes to it. Just give them the direction to actually go ahead and start drafting it so that they can come back to us with first reading on March 6th.
All right.
And that's the motion that I made anyway.
So I'm jumping in. It's very interesting, Commissioner Vignola, hearing you say that, talking about national and local levels. I remember last year, or almost 2 years ago, I spoke before this commission asking you guys to pass or say some kind of resolution supporting our residents who may have been losing their TPS status, and you said that this was not a local issue, this was a national issue, and we have no reason to comment on this. So it's very interesting hearing you say that, right?
I'm not saying it's
And
a
I'm
national
sorry,
issue.
I'm
I'm
speaking,
talking
sir.
about
Thank you.
national
Sir,
law.
I
Now,
think
you're
I'm
putting
speaking.
words in my mouth
No, sir,
and
I
it's
think
a
I'm speaking.
foul.
I think I'm speaking. Thank you.
Please.
All right. So when we had the opportunity to appoint a mayor, I do not have buyer remorse in everything that I said about that. I said that I believed in this commission to pass the business and take care of the business that we need to do for this city. I firmly believe that, and I still believe that. Whoever is going to sit in this chair, they were not in those workshops with us. They were not there when we were talking about our direction and things that we wanted to do as a city. We made that commitment basically almost to each other to be a team and move this thing forward. And I get that, you know, in America, majority rules, and I understand that some people will lose on this or feel like they've lost something or whatnot like that. But I knew that as a team going into that and coming out of that workshop that we had the direction for this. And if we do not do this, we are telling the people that we know better than them. We are telling them that what they want does not matter. We know better than them. Going on some education mission and spending months and resources and stuff that often is said that the staff does not have will not help anybody. The people have already spoken. Everyone's talking about the 72%. What about the 76% here at home? Not the rest of Florida. 76% of Coral Springs residents voted for this. The state average is 72, but Coral Springs voted 76%.
I didn't know that. No, ma'am, I'm sorry, you cannot. Wait, this is not a public comment, I'm sorry. No, you can contact us individually. I know, but still, there's no opportunity. No, I'm sorry. Could you take your seat, please? Please take your seat. Please take your seat. Thank you, I'm sorry. Commissioner Vignola.
All right, so let's go back to some false statements again. So one, okay, saying that our residents don't have access is a false statement, okay? Phone calls can be made, it gets delivered to your home. All the cities around us don't allow it, okay? Why is that? Have we had the time, we asked staff to go ahead and find out what happened in Lake Worth, why they allowed it, and then they pulled it. We asked staff to go ahead and look into why the cities around us haven't gone ahead and approved it. Are they planning on approving it, okay? We talk about national versus local. My thing wasn't, you guys are bringing up the state law, okay? And I'll get to that in a second, but when we talk about it, state law, well, federal law says no, both agencies are above us. I don't think we should be writing letters unless it's directly related to certain things in our community, the way our city does business, to go ahead and advocate one way or another at the national level. I'm not writing a letter to the president to tell him how to do his job or to the governor, regardless of who that president is, unless it's something that directly affects the city and how the city does business. I think that's our role. We are a representative democracy. So yes, sometimes it is our job to go ahead and say we do know better. And I know that sounds terrible, right? But again, our voters got a little snippet on the law. And how many pages is that law, Mr. Chief? 80 plus pages, the law. Our residents didn't vote on 80 plus pages. Okay, so we do have more information. And I'm asking if residents want to go ahead and they want this, I'm okay with that. But I think we should allow our residents the opportunity to go see what's in those 80 plus pages. Because again, I have talked to many residents that had voted in favor of this, that now turn around and say, hey, wait, what do you mean there's no extra tax money to the city? Well, there's not this, there's not that. What do you mean you can't regulate this, you can't regulate that? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm in favor, I'm not saying I'm opposed. I'm saying to go ahead, take our time. This city has a reputation of doing things the right way. We have a professional staff that has always done things the right way. We got an award earlier today for doing things better than other cities in our area. That's what we do. We do, and the reason why is because we do our homework and we bring things forward. You know, our fire department, our police department, had 2 people here that were recognized earlier today. Why? Because they went ahead, they did their homework, they brought something back that we use in this community to go ahead and make an impact, and it saved lives. That's what I'm asking, is to let our staff do what they do. If not, why even have staff here? Why have them do research? I don't understand that. Like, I've been on this commission for over 8 years. We've always allowed staff to go ahead, do research, and bring it back. And I understand not everyone was happy with the research that was brought forward before. I'm okay with that. Now we're asking them to go ahead and dig a little bit deeper and to present it to our public, to our residents, to have those open conversations to see. That's it. I'm not saying I'm against, I'm not saying I'm in favor. What I'm saying is let's gather more information and do things the way the city of Coral Springs is nationally known for doing.
Okay, everybody's made really, really good points. I believe that we have about 6 weeks before the March 20th commission meeting. In the last workshop, we agreed to educate our residents. So far, we have gotten the fear-based side of it and the negative side of it. The positive side of it needs to be given to us as well. Wait, let me finish. I gave Deputy City Manager Melissa Heller my contacts for lobbyists and dispensary owners and things like that. So if we could get, is it possible during this 6-week period before the March 20th meeting to have some type of social media education on, for the residents?
So currently, staff is working on what direction was given at the will of the commission. We are working on that educational program, and there is a education program that can be done in that time frame. I've already talked to Liz, and I know Deputy City Manager Heller's working on that as well. So there is an education program that can be done. How effective it's going to be, you know, based on the time frame is, you know, we don't know what that outcome is, but we could do some type of education program. But right now, I talked to City Manager Goodrum earlier. Right now, the direction he's under is what was given, that this was going to wait until after the election, the mayoral election.
Which is March 12th.
Right.
And so March 20th, where the public can attend and give their input after 6 weeks of education, then we can make it vote. Commissioner Daley.
Respectfully, Vice Mayor, I'm not going to change my motion. My motion is for the March 6th meeting. The staff can still put in the work and do the presentation in that time frame, and we can have a discussion on the item March 6th. It would still require 2 public hearings. It would still require 2 readings. Public are not prevented. I know it's more difficult, right? Just like it's more difficult to get medical marijuana if you live in Coral Springs. I know it's more difficult for them to come to the March 6th meeting, but they are able to come. They are able to weigh in. They're able to weigh in on social media, through text, through email, through phone call. And we're not going to finalize that actual document until the March 20th meeting. So there's still an opportunity for folks to weigh in. I don't think there's any reason why the city attorney's office can't start drafting that document in preparation for that discussion. If we want to make changes based on the presentation that's given, maybe even on the same day, we can do that, and we can have that discussion at that time. But I think more than enough time has been spent on this item, and I think it's an opportunity for the city attorney's office to start drafting an actual ordinance.
Thank you, Commissioner Daley. Commissioner Mignola.
When we talk about fear-based presentation, okay, what I'm interested in the future, okay, I'm not going to go into what was discussed before, okay? I'm interested in how it's going to positively and negatively affect our community. Not talking about whether you like marijuana, whether you don't like marijuana, whether you think it's got great medical benefits or whether it doesn't. I'm not talking about that argument. What I want to know is how it's going to positively and negatively affect the city of Coral Springs. I don't care about, you know, people say, oh, it's a fear-based presentation. I want to see the positives of medical marijuana. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking for is to go ahead and have the conversation with our residents, say, okay, these are the negatives of it, these are the positives of it. I'm asking staff to go ahead and find out from Lake Worth why they went ahead and approved it, and then once a couple opened up, they shut down, they won't allow any more. And those businesses that opened up already are there, they're grandfathered in forever, like you see some of the fireworks places that sell fireworks that you cannot sell anywhere else, okay? What I want to know is the negative versus positive. If there's and look, this city, right now, we're going through a lot of money. We just are, okay? If this is something that's going to cost the city a lot of money and we're not getting tax revenue back, that's a problem. We have a mayoral election that's going to cost us a lot of money. We have a city commission race that's going to cost us a lot of money, okay? That between those two alone, we're talking somewhere around $500,000 gone. Now, we might start getting to the point where, okay, let's start killing projects. Let's start, things like the Mullins Park Playground. Are we going to start getting rid of that? Like, we need to know what's going on. We're not, I've never seen this commission go ahead and just approve things without going ahead and doing that. I'd like to see the negatives and the positives financially, how it's going to affect the city. I'd like to see our residents understand those 80-plus pages in a presentation, and not a presentation based off of if you think it's medicinal or not, because I don't care if people think it's medicinal or not. The state law says, yes, it's allowed, it's approved. However, lots of communities, including Parkland, Tamarack, Margate, communities around us, don't allow it. Why? And do we want to be the hub where everyone who needs to have their medicine right away, okay, who can't wait a couple hours for it to be delivered, do we want them to go to the city of Coral Springs to drive in and go back to their community? That's my concern. Because if people can't wait a couple hours to get their medicine, I'm afraid they're going to be using it here and then driving back to their communities 501 feet away from a school. I mean, let's let the public see before they go ahead and decide on that. I think, a lot of people sit there and they look at what's happened in Colorado and Washington and California and Washington, D.C. and stuff, and they see some of these things. They say, hey, great, the tax revenue is great. I mean, a lot of people have been talking to me and say, hey, Colorado's gotten so many $1 million off of this. This person's got, this state's got so much money off it. We're not getting any revenues off of this. This isn't coming to the city, just so people know. So if there's an extra calls for service or different things, that's a cost to us. That's all I'm saying. Let's let the professionals do what they do, have that. There's no rush for us to do this. We're not preventing people from getting their medicine. It can get delivered that day. Why not take our time and do things the right way? It makes no sense to me at all that we're rushing this.
Okay, so, go ahead, Commissioner Simmons.
So I believe that we may not be able to have an additional tax or, regulating that means, but it still opens up just like any other business would in the city of Coral Springs. So that's, I'll say that point. But also, I will say that I don't see a problem with asking the city attorney's office to draft language so that we can see it and review it and have our public hearings on it, since there needs to be 2, and by that time, someone may be sitting in this seat when it goes through. So I don't really see the harm in doing that. That's not a rush to me. A rush would be saying we need to move on this today. That would be rushing, right? But having them actually look into it and seeing what, and coming up with language so that we can review it, have the public comment, have staff being able to go out into their outreach and educate the community, I still think that gives that time, so.
Thank you. Okay, so my position is that I respect everybody's opinion, and we're all kind of level. I do believe that in the workshop, the direction was to educate the residents. So we have 6 weeks to do that. I don't see where 2 additional weeks is going to make a difference. But at least we can say, we gave you all the facts, and now we can, all 5 of us, make a vote. So I understand what's on the table for March 6th. I would prefer an evening meeting, March 20th.
So you're asking a new mayor who will only have been in office, will they even be sworn in by March 20th? Okay, so they'll be sworn in, okay.
Should be
so-
just sworn in, yeah.
So
There's
they'll
no
have
guarantee,
6,
but.
so they'll have 6 days to decide on something this major, without everything else they have to go through.
Commissioner Simmons.
Okay.
Let's be real. They're following it now.
Are they?
Wait,
Okay.
but we're going to go ahead and do it on March 6th, and then the mayor would be here, and they'd only have 6 days to do it at second reading, where there's no extra 2 weeks to go ahead and get that information.
The
Extra.
time
Remember,
that I
there's a
want
second
is
on
more
that,
for
too.
at the workshop, the determination we made was to educate the residents. And I think 6 weeks is plenty of time to accomplish that.
And
We
the
talked about
direction
doing
at the
town halls,
retreat
not
was to
social
make this a
media
priority.
education.
But we've gotten away from that all of a sudden. So I mean, I think we can make a decision as a cohesive body here. There's a motion on the table. Let's, Vice Mayor, if we want to call the vote on it, we'll call the vote on it. If it goes down, we'll come back at it again.
Okay, so let's have the vote.
And the motion is, just to clarify, please, Mr. City Attorney?
To have the city attorney draft an ordinance permitting medical marijuana dispensaries in the city of Coral Springs to bring for first reading at the first meeting in March.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, with that, I'll make a motion to set the same direction, but set it for the second meeting in March.
All in favor?
Oh, you got a
Oh,
second.
second, sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. I was on Commissioner Simmons. Did you have anything else?
With that, oh, wait, yeah, we were on Commissioner Simmons, sorry.
We're still on Commissioner Communications, Commissioner Daley.
Are you done? I didn't want to, okay. Well, thank you, Vice Mayor, appreciate it. What I appreciate most, over the years with this body has been our ability to have heated discussions like the one you just witnessed and to still get along and still move on to the next issue. We're not going to agree on every single item, but that's one of the things that makes our process great, is we can have a heated debate and walk away and agree on the next one. So, folks, with that, if you ever need anything, my cell phone number is 954-778-3304. You can email me at ddaly@coralsprings.org or find me on any of the social media networks. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. And I just wanted to let everyone up here know that the Mayor of Broward, which is Mark Bogan, called a Mayor's Council meeting. And I thought that it went very well, because the perception is that Broward is the parent and we are the stepchild, and we are not treated fairly or consideration for our projects or needs given. So with everybody meeting together, the biggest part of the conversation was regarding the revenue for the increase in the penny sales tax, and how cities need to have a guarantee of how they can budget and how they can plan going forward. And Mayor Sturmer provided a resolution this morning, I got it this morning, on 10% of the cities being guaranteed 10% of the revenue so that they can budget and plan going forward. So I forwarded it to John and Goodrum. So I imagine we'll be discussing that going forward. But I'm supportive of that. My next commission meeting, I will be phoning in from New Orleans. So I guess Commissioner Vignola, you'll be in charge.
Okay.
And then I just want to remind everybody that February 2nd is the next party at City Hall, which is Unplugged. And lastly, this is a difficult time. You know, Valentine's Day is a time of love and happiness, but it's hard when we have such horrific memories. So please do keep those people in mind, and please be kind to each other. Any questions, you can reach me at 998-4186 or joycarter@coralsprings.org. On to item number 22, the settlement of a claim. Oh, Commissioner, I'm sorry. I forgot you guys, sorry.
No comment.
City Attorney.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And just having heard that you're calling in, just to remind everybody else that we'll need the three of you here to have a quorum, so we can have the meeting, because the Vice Mayor can call in and participate fully, but we need a quorum here under the law. Thank you for that. So this has not happened often over several years. Our general liability claims, we have insurance for that, so those claims are settled without commission approval, as we would have the insurance company paying anything over $25,000. But we have for workers' comp what's called a self-insured retention, where we pay the first $300,000. We are at a point with an individual who's a Parks and Rec employee, a long-term Parks and Rec employee. He got hurt while on the job. So for those that don't know, workers' comp is in replace of employees suing you. If they're hurt on the job, then it's completely accepted, and the cost in the medical, and including indemnity, certain payments in lieu of salary are made. This individual has not healed. We have spent over $200,000, or about $200,000 in medical indemnity. The excess insurance carrier pays from $300,000, anything above $300,000 up to $1 million. So they want to settle this matter, as the value of this case is actually $1.1 million moving forward. So we had a mediation, and the proposed settlement is for $360,000, which the city is responsible for $100,000. The excess insurance carrier would be paying the $260,000. Since it's self-insured, I need to get the approval of this commission. It's based on the valuation of this case. It's a very good settlement, so I'd ask for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, February 20th at 6:30 p.m. We are adjourned.